My name's Andrew Johnson. I live in Oakland, California, from San Bernardino. 31 years old. Um,
How did you get involved in community work, or how did you get involved in movement, or what we call movement, or what we call political activism, community advocacy, or the struggle?
um, I first got involved. I first got involved through reading, learning about the movement during the '60s, Panthers, Dr. King, stuff like that. I don't know, stuff that was more commonly known, I guess. Started, in high school and stuff, started getting interested in, I guess, middle school even. Started getting interested in Che, Cuban Revolution, stuff like that. Definitely went through a phase where I was trying, thought we needed to, dread our hair and, like, liberate the universe or whatever, But,
What stands out for you as far as Dr. King, the Panthers, and Che Guevara? Why do those particular leaders and formations affect you or move your
because
consciousness?
I feel like it makes me mad that what happened to them and how they're gone, because they're the type of leaders that we need.
Is that why the system killed them in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I guess, I guess I have my speculations. Yeah, I mean, it's just a pattern. People, anybody who has that strong of a voice is either locked up, dead, they're gone. They get rid of them.
Who are the authorities, and what type of tactics do they employ in order to keep us oppressed?
Well, I think that there's like many levels. For me, police. On just the initial, I guess I feel like I'm worried about what I do on the internet. I'm worried about the phone because it's so easy to record everything. I'm really paranoid about that, especially since I've heard so many stories about what they were doing in the '60s, doing surveillance. I mean, so now it's just, I'm pretty much convinced that, certain people I talk to on the phone is just going to be recorded. And that's just scary to me. And
Why does the system go to those lengths to pay attention to what we have to say? Because we don't possess an army.
it's a chess game, and they want to have, they want to have the upper hand. It's like when you go to court and they do a bunch of illegal investigating without warrants and take a bunch of information, and they know exactly what happened, but they got the information the wrong way. They're willing to do that, lie and cheat, to make sure, so they can take a better calculated risk on their part. And when the person on the other end doesn't have that ability, so it's power.
Is there a difference between a person in plain clothes and a person in a uniform? And why or why not?
Regarding what? A uniformed person in plain clothes? You mean a police officer? Uniformed in plain clothes?
Yeah.
Is there a difference
That
between
type,
a uniform and
a uniform. What you said, an authority is a police officer in uniform, because that's how you
identify?
how you identify with them. What is the difference between a police officer and a person?
Police officer there is sort of a representation of, they're supposedly representing the public, and there's somebody that we gave some extra authority to because we trust that they're going to use it respectfully to benefit the overall public. But that's not always what happens.
Is there a difference?
Is there a difference between...
If I hired you, if you were a police officer, could you identify with the difference between being a person who is a police officer, or would you allow a police officer to take over you?
I don't know if I understand the question, man. Like,
Do you see the police officers as common human beings, common citizens? Are they the people?
Nah,
Or
not
that-
to
the
me.
people?
Not to me. I used to see police officers when I would be at protests or whatever, and I would be on fire. I would want to get in their faces and yell at them and vent and try to be a voice for people who don't have a voice, and vent my anger and my frustration through my struggles with them. But now I don't do that. I don't want to even make eye contact. I see I have this ability. I can see, one of my eyes don't even work. Man, I can spot a cop so far away, miles down the freeway on an off ramp, sitting on the side. My brain is wired to avoid these people. What goes through my mind when I'm gonna go out at night? How many nights have I not gone out because I was just like, Friday night, well, they're definitely gonna have a DUI checkpoint here, and they know that everyone's gonna go here, and you start to analyze it, and I spend half my brain power thinking about shit like that when I should be worrying about what I need to be doing.
Do you believe it's possible for a person to fulfill the duty of serving and protecting within the guidelines of what a police officer is supposed to do? Or do you feel that by giving them the opportunity to supervise and surveil in such a manner where the balance between person and officer is not weighed right, and that causes them to do things that they shouldn't, to say the least?
I think that there are things that can be done to bring the average person in a police officer's role in society to be a little bit more of the same thing. I think there's places where there's police where it's not that big. Their relationship with people is different. I think that it has to do with it starts at the base, like family, culture, like having an identity that you're proud of, and being a part of something. Just being aware and informed. And I think that some people are more informed and have a more solid foundation, like culturally or if their family, And I think that's when I know guys that are cops that I grew up with. Some of these guys, man, I've seen these guys, doing all kinds of drugs and partying, and just like everybody else. I see these guys still in law enforcement, still doing all the same stuff. And these guys come home, they joke around, you're buddies with them, you know them forever, so they don't censor anything. And these guys, they should not be police.
Do you think a program like Cops and Kids can help prevent a lot of police brutality and unwarranted police involved shootings?
One more time again?
Do you think a program like Cops and Kids could help prevent a lot of police brutality and police involved shootings in situations where it might not be warranted?
Anything that can be done to hold the police officers more accountable for what they've done is what needs to be done. There's no reason that they're not every measure in the book. They should have what they trade off to have that power is these roid raging cops out here, like if they have an altercation with people, they should be interviewed, questioned, drug tested, if every single time, tested, not just tested for certain types of drugs, tested for everything. And these people they need to be held accountable. And that's what's happening. And that's why what's going on with every time there's a police brutality thing, same thing happens. The chief of police is, we're gonna investigate this until we get all the facts and yada 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 yada. And man, they should have, it's just obvious that they're trying to do whatever they can do to protect their establishment, because all the heads will roll if that one cop goes. That means that his boss was not doing his job, and they never want that to happen. So they'll do everything, just like Meserly. Now they're gonna, even now that he's done his time, they're gonna try to reverse it, or he's appealing it.
Expunge his record.
Yeah, they're gonna expunge his record because they don't want that precedent to be set, and that's why nothing happens.
How long does it take for an average everyday citizen to go through the task? What are the legalizations of them expunging their record?
In other words, is it easier for a police officer to have his record expunged than the common citizen in the United States?
I mean, you know, I have never tried, or the times I've ever gone to court, I've never even heard of the possibility of getting things removed from my records. Only in the sense of like a bribe from the judge who will say, you know, well, you got something on them, they got something on you, so they say, well, we're willing to drop this or throw this out or erase this if you agree to plea to this. You know?
So even in cases,
that's the
even
only scenario where I can see me getting something off my record is not after the fact. It's in a negotiating game with the judge, basically.
So you're saying that even in cases where you were involved with the police, they tried to tell you what was basically told you what was gonna happen and how it was happening as it was happening, and there was nothing that you could do about it.
Yeah, they just push you through, man. They don't want you to. They're not gonna. Law is such a vast thing.
How do you feel about?
They're gonna just play that card and not inform you of certain things.
How do you feel about gangs? Why do you think they were created? And how does it help or regress society today?
It reminds me of what we were speaking about earlier about nationalism. I think that sometimes people gotta join together. It's like it's a mechanism. It's just something you gotta do to survive. I think it's a culture that just comes out of people needing each other, and the way that people go after gang members and talk about gang members is completely ridiculous. And kids that grow up in gangs and they're gonna be in gangs, and that's just that. And the reason that they exist, people just need to